So, what was that? It was all of me, all saints, all...
Yo, all blues!
Yeah, that's a great tune, all blues, and we're going to get a really close look at this tune today. We're going to get inside the changes, and I have a great chord melody for you too that you can blow on this tune. Now, before we get started, check out how you can get more videos like this one. Just navigate to Bruce Grigori Video on Demand. When you get to the site, you can browse videos in a wide variety of categories. Each video covers a different topic and has bonus content and supporting documentation. There's even a free trial option. Don't forget to use your promo code to get a discount off your first purchase. And the link for that promo code is in the description down below. Now, if you dig the video, throw it a like, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the bell notification because that'll let you know every time I upload a new video. So let's get started. Dig it! All blues. Man, what a burning tune. And you know what? I don't know many jazz players that don't dig this tune. It's a great tune. Now, when Miles created this tune in 1958 and he blew it out in the Kinda Blue album, it was revolutionary because he was basically taking a jazz blues and he was making blues modal, which was kind of a new concept. Now, it doesn't mean that we're just going to play modally on this particular tune. We're going to get inside the changes. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with the melody, and I have a chord melody set up for you that will really work to outline the structure of the chords, and that's a great way to start. So let's check it out. Now, when Bill Evans started this tune, he basically played those 3 chord patterns. And all that is, or all I'm doing is I'm harmonizing the essential melody of the tune, and they're just shell voicing chords. So the first one is G7, and then a C major, and a D minor. And using that stop rhythm of... And that's essentially the first part of that chord melody. That's something that really gets us into the melody of this song. Now, when we go to the 4 chord, what I'm doing is I'm harmonizing the notes that Miles wrote as the melody. So it's basically playing off a C7, and then I'm using those 6/9 chords. If you visited or looked at my lesson on giant steps, you'll be very familiar with that format. Again, it's something that George Benson uses and a lot of other players, and here's a great example that we can use it on a pentatonic scale. Check it out. Now slowly, that's just basically a C7 voicing. You can also think of it as a G minor 7. Then I use my 6/9, which would be off the minor 3rd. And then off the 4, or in this case the root. And then I use off the 5th, I use a major 7 voicing, which I think sounds really great because the root note of that major 7 happens to be the 7th of that C7. So it works really nice. It creates this C suspended kind of sound. If we put the C in the bass, it's a fantastic sound when we're thinking of all blues, because all blues isn't a real minor kind of sounding blues. It has a very major element to it. And then when we get to the turnaround, it's not a normal jazz turnaround. It's just basically these sharp 9 chords. And that's basically a D7 sharp 9 to a D sharp or an E flat 7 sharp 9 back to a D7 sharp 9. And then the last part of the melody, I'm basically taking that G7 as a 9 chord. I can grab that A as the melody and bring it up an octave. So it's and I grab that G or that root note. So all together it's that's a great way to get inside this tune and kick it off, because remember, the melody is kind of sparse, and as a horn player, they have a lot of sustain, particularly Miles with his trumpet and his muted trumpet sound. But as a guitar player, you want to give some element of what you can do on your instrument and add some voicing to it as well. Dig it. So let's look at some solo ideas on this tune. Now, as I said to you at the beginning, Miles wrote this blues as a modal jazz tune. So we could basically play G minor pentatonic over the entire form. You know G minor pentatonic. It's that wonderful shape we all love and play. And you can use any configuration you want to blow over the entire form of this tune. But let's get inside the changes a little closer. One way we can do that is over the 1 chord, we could basically use G mixolydian. That's like a regular or traditional blues. So I'm basically playing, right? And one of the things that I'm doing as I approach the 4 chord is a common strategy that you'll find a lot of great jazz players use. In fact, Miles and Cannonball and Train on this solo all did it, is using the altered scale. Now that might sound a little terrifying to you, but the altered scale essentially is the 7th mode of melodic minor. You heard it right, melodic minor. If you've watched my video on Dorian, if you've watched my video on There Will Never Be Another You, you should know melodic minor by now. It is just basically that Dorian shape with a major 7. Now, the way we get to the melodic minor for this scale is we're basically playing it a half step up from G. And that allows a lot of tension on that G chord to get us to the 4 chord. So the shape for that is, and that gives us all those tensions that we want on that G7 to get us to the 4 chord. Check it out. That's a great way to create some separation between the 1 and the 4 chord without only staying modal in this tune. Now, of course, we can stay modal, but this is just a different approach. When we get to the 4 chord, we're basically playing C mixolydian. Now, we could also on the 4 chord play G melodic minor, because remember, C mixolydian and G Dorian are the same scale. Of course, if G Dorian is the same scale as C mixolydian, that means G melodic minor is very, very close and gives us that sharp 11 sound in the 4 chord, and we can do that as well. Now, when we get to the turnaround, the D7, I'm basically playing G mixolydian and G sharp mixolydian over those 2 chords. I'm trying to get closer inside those changes, but we still could play G minor pentatonic. And that's really the entire form of this song. So let's take a look at all of those concepts in this solo. dig it. All blues, all bad. It's a great tune to play on at any tempo. Now, the original was about 140, and I played this tune at a much faster clip at about 180, but you can play it at any tempo, and it really shines. Don't forget, the chord melody is a great way to get inside the changes and kick this tune off and create a lot of confidence when you're on the bandstand. And of course, don't forget, it's a modal blues tune. That's how Miles wrote it. So we can play G minor pentatonic, and that's a great way for blues and rock players to bridge the gap to get into playing jazz. Now, if you want to take it to the next level, don't forget, we can get farther inside the changes, play G mixolydian, C mixolydian, and don't forget the altered scale, the 7th mode of melodic minor. You're just playing it a half step up from those 7th chords, and that's a great way to get you to go from one chord to the other. As many great jazz players say, move the chords. You're creating movement. So that's kind of it. Now, if you like this video, don't forget to check out more of my videos on YouTube and, of course, on VHX.TV. I will see you next time. Peace.